Rock, 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 rock.
What's great, y'all? I'm Henry Rock Johnson, and you are now tuned in to Rock Radio. Today, I got my brother Thrizzle with me. Don't forget the 1-3. And today, on this video, we will be discussing artist runs. Now, what do you mean by artist runs, Henry Rock Johnson? Well, we mean artists who can consistently put out hot hit music over an extended period of time. Nothing lasts forever, but we just want to focus on the artists who dominated the charts, the streets, the streams for an extended period of time. So let me ask you this question. What is an artist run to you? What defines an artist going on a run?
I think grabbing a hold of the culture, having everybody, at least when you drop, you have everybody talking, and after that particular moment, you continue to deliver consistently, whether that be through singles, features, or projects. That's how I would define a run.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. It's the consistency factor for me. It's the consistency of quality for me.
Absolutely.
And being able to captivate audiences, whether it be a Beyonce, we'll end up discussing who can just have her fan base at the palm of her hand because they don't know when she's going to release music. That actually just spilled down to Kendrick. That G and Next was a surprise because he didn't really say anything about it. It makes sense because he's performing for the Super Bowl, but for him to drop that album as a surprise, I think that's why. Well, there's other reasons why too, the beef and whatnot, but that helped build into why Kendrick is so hot right now is because he knows how to market, and he knows how to. He's been on the run too. You know what I'm saying? This is a run for him. It might not be as close together as some of the other names we'll mention on this video, but I just got to throw Kendrick out there and Beyonce because they have their audiences in the palm of their hand with these surprise drops.
As far as Kendrick, originally I was going to say, would that be considered a run? But I think that's a part of it. Can you come back? The next project can come back. Are the people still engaged? And I think that Kendrick got great reception when he decided he needed to speak up because he was out for a while. A lot of people were wondering. He never dropped the project with J. Cole. A lot of people wanted that.
So what we're going to do now is start discussing some of these artists who have more closer knit runs, who changed the culture with their runs. I'm gonna start with OAT Pain. Oh, really? OAT Pain. First of all, the culture of auto-tune was birthed from the extensive research that he did. I don't know if you ever heard the story about the research he did, putting it to the people at auto-tune themselves and teaching us that it was actually a sonar system before they made it into this wonderful program that alters voices. That blew my mind too. Wow. But a lot of these, you can do so much with sound though, so you can just take it anywhere. So that does make a lot of sense. But in 2008, when it came to hooks, features, him changing the culture, I gotta say T-Pain. Off real.
T-Pain had an incredible run. He juiced up the game at a good time too. He brought a lot of life to the game. He stayed on the radio, and that's why I'm saying he carried. I don't want to go too far, but his style of hip hop was very refreshing. And I think because of him, we've been able to get an abundance of artists to come after that. Future's good, but when Future got that auto-tune and he started to get in his bag.
That's what I'm saying. So we can segue to him because I say Future from 2014 to 2017. So that's Monster, Dirty Sprite 2, 56 Nights. So he went on the credible, the Future and the Hendrix album, What a Time to Be Alive with Drake. In that whole period, he just crammed in so much hot music. And I think he was influenced by, when it comes to consistency, as far as at that clip, you gotta go back before Future and talk about that is his roots. But as far as runs, you got to give it to like Gucci and Lil Wayne. Big Say Weezy and 09 Gucci were catalysts for coming out. They literally, between both of them, I know Gucci was dropping pretty much a mixtape every month at some
Right.
point. So,
And you had what was the mixtape you were on with him?
we were on Atlanta Santa.
East Atlanta Santa too.
Check that out. Down with 21 Savage and song.
Mhm.
Check that out. So
Gucci, but Gucci,
like
man,
volume.
right? Them two, him and Lil Wayne. I don't think anybody could even compete with them. Gucci was on a whole nother planet. And what I liked about him is that he was giving you different artists. He was bringing you these underground Atlanta rappers who are next up now, like Pee Wee Longway. Gucci had these other acts, Waka Flocka and OJ the Juice Man. Even Coach K was popular, and more so who was Coach K is, but he was popular being known for working with Gucci too. Him and Jeezy, I believe. So it's a crazy run.
But you know what? I kind of want to circle back now because we were talking about Future,
Mm-hmm.
and we talk about his correlation with the Dungeon family.
Right.
We have to mention.
Oh my gosh.
Aquemini, Aliens. That part, late 90s, early 2000s, even with the double album.
Was that Love Below and
Speaker
Speaker Box?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a great little run for them as well. It wasn't as popularized as some of the bigger artists that we named so far,
Mm-hmm.
but Outkast run really set the plate for them as legends in the South. It's a legendary duo,
Absolutely.
and as artists, like that definitely did set the run.
Oh, another person, just when you mentioned T-Pain, right, and I'm talking about 08, right, my brain was like, who else was playing? I'm from Florida. I think Rick Ross, he's had very good albums. I think he's branded himself well since he came out of the gate. I know he was with Slip and Slide Records earlier, but he came out of the gate when he dropped his debut album, I think outside of Slip and Slide.
What we talking about, Port of Miami?
Yeah, Port of Miami.
Yeah, Port of Miami went hard. His first 3 albums, so 06 through, I say maybe 12, because God Forgives and I Don't, and he had a couple of hot songs. He had a mixtape with
I think he had
Teflon Don. What was that mixtape called? That had that song Holy Ghost on it. If y'all know what I'm talking about, and it might hit me throughout the video, but you real Rick Ross fans and music lovers know it's not God Forgives and I Don't. That was the album.
Teflon Don. He had Port of Miami, Teflon Don, and then we had God Forgives I Don't.
In his area, we talked about Kendrick as well. Drake.
Oh, arguably the best run. He's still on it. I don't. It's tricky right now.
It's a slippery slope right now, and he's dealing with this lawsuit and stuff. But as far as him dropping music, I first got hip to Drake in about 09 when he came out with Successful and You're the Best on So Far Gone. That was the name of that first mixtape.
Right.
And that separated him from that actor on Degrassi.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he was when I first heard it. Somebody told me that he was from Degrassi, but the dude had bars. And he kept building on it and building up his persona. And I don't know if he's peaked yet, to be honest with you.
That's a good one.
He might be right. He's at his zenith.
It's so crazy because he's a trendsetter and he's in a way, but then in a way he's not, because he pulls from a lot of old songs, but he's made them his own. What I would say is that what's interesting about Drake's run is So Far Gone was successful, but it was the song Ransom. It may have been the freestyle. He did a song Ransom with Lil Wayne. I remember that. After that song dropped, his career, he was going crazy. He was constantly dropping. I was on all the hip hop blogs. I would see at least a song a month from Drake. I'm just talking outside of albums. So he's popping up on other people's songs. He has these features. I actually knew about Drake prior to So Far Gone. So he had a couple of tapes. He used to be in this group called ATF. And then he also had a tape called Comeback Season. And I think he got to work with Trey Songz. I think he worked with Trey Songz prior to that successful joint too. So he's been in the game for a while, but after the Ransom, that So Far Gone year, it's been amazing. I feel like I've grown up. I've eventually grown up with him.
Another artist that come to mind on my end as far as runs is Jay-Z from 98 to 04. Jay-Z putting out an album every summer, yup.
From when?
From 98, from Jay-Z Volume 1 to Black album. There's 97, 98, 99. So Volume 1, 2, and 3. And then the Dynasty. And so that's when he really started to become Hov. We came Hov after he hooked up for real, and they dropped I Just Wanna Love You. That's when Jay-Z became Hov.
Yeah.
And then Hov started running to the Black album.
Mm-hmm.
He backed out, retired for what, a year?
Mm-hmm.
Came back in 2006 with Kingdom Come. After that, he was Shotty. You know, as a fan, I'll still check out every project he comes out with. But as far as the subject matter, Jay-Z run was for
98 to 04.
As far as hits, dominating every chart consistently with the Rockefeller. He's bringing up the Rock. You know, you got Bleak and Siegel and Cam and Dipset and all of them on there. Him and Dame Dash making moves on the business end. Rockefeller had a great run.
So
behind Jay-Z,
it's tricky because like with Jay-Z, not in the case of like Kendrick, we talked about this gap. But with Jay-Z, Magna Carta, Holy Grail.
See, that's post run.
Watch the Throne.
That's post run. That's post run to me. That's just like him staying relevant. Cool. You know what I'm saying, him staying relevant and staying out there and staying creative and using rap as that avenue. But as far as runs, where like hits and I Just Want to Love You and Jigga Who and Show Me What You Got and stuff like that. No, that's 98 through 06. Change Clothes, Dirt Off the Shoulders, all that is in the run. Like what you talk about is cool,
Dirt Off
but they're not in the heat. That was the heat 98 through 04 to me. Now, if you guys have other opinions, just feel free to put it in the comments. Let us know your opinion and your thoughts, because here at Rock Radio, we value your feedback.
Nice.
So let me see who else we got on here. We see DMX. He dropped 2 albums in a year in 98. His run was a little bit shorter, but he has the volume as far as putting out albums. But his run was the same time around. It wasn't as in depth as Jay-Z's run was, but around the same time. So 98 to 03. After that, when he started getting into trouble with certain stuff, he started to taper off. But 99, 2000, Rough Riders Anthem. X and Rough Riders was on the run during that era.
Interesting. So I had 2 particular artists come in mind. Now I know you're from up north, so you may not even be aware of this run. But Lil Boosie. Boosie had...
And that's on the mixtape end.
Right. Boosie had the streets on lock for a good little minute. Him, and I would say him and another person that I would want to acknowledge is having a run.
Plies first came up. I'll give you that. It might not be
long. It might not be long.
It might not be on the grander scale of some of the other artists that we talking about. But still, at the same time, I do appreciate that input on a more regional level. You know, as far as artists that had runs. 'Cause I got to put, me being from Detroit, I got to put M in there now.
Right. I was thinking about Eminem as
Marshall Mathers LP, Slim Shady LP, the Eminem show. There was one more after that.
Question though, was Eminem was signed on those projects? Because I think that that's the distinguishing thing between that distinguishes messing that up. But the difference is, I think Boosie was independent. If I'm not mistaken, I think Plies was independent. He might have been with Slip and Slide or as a Big Gates record, something. But I think Plies was independent as well.
So how do you think that indies? How do you think that affects the run outside of having a machine behind you?
I think that one, it's organic, it's real, it can become grassroots. When you have the machine behind you, I think there's a tendency to get music forced upon you. And it's like when the music is forced upon you, everybody will be talking about or ask, have you heard? Or everybody has to hear it on the radio. I think the Boosie and the Plies, Boosie ain't making too much music that could really get on the radio because it was too gutter. But you could, in the club, keep packing out the club. Everybody going crazy in the club. Same thing with Plies. So that's the difference. Because people can be on the radio, but they can't necessarily sell out arenas.
That's the same thing with stream in the streaming world nowadays. You can get 1 million streams, but can you pack out a venue?
That's one too.
I got 2 more names I want to mention. And then I want to delve into the mechanics of a run a little bit before we wrap up. So the last 2 names, they in 2 different lanes. I'm going to say 2011, 2012, 2 Chainz. And then I'm going to say Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Is low-key on the run. If you have a concert and you can just, okay, it was of her evolution. Like I something And she's like a Beyonce level. Her and Beyonce are on the same level. They can, as far as like their faces, of their fan base. So Taylor Swift had her last concert, her little concert run. It was all her different eras. 1989, like all her different albums were represented. It's like with her, like each a different piece. It's like of herself and her evolution.
Nice.
So that was represented in her last concert run, where everybody's coming up dressed up as different. It was called the Era Tour. It was called the Era Tour, and everybody came dressed up from a different era of her. So I thought that was dope too.
Very interactive. This was genius.
So what do you think is the formula for a successful run?
I think that's a great question, just because as we've been discussing these artists, you know, I'm just like, what is it? Like, I'm like,
we the elements, like you just with the Boosie and Plies situation, like the machine and team being behind you. So I know that's important, because if you got a team, it's just like a sports team. You like Michael Jordan, been able to win 6 championships without a Scottie Pippen, without a Dennis Rodman. So it's a team that's with you that helps you. To me, that's not the main thing, but it's important.
You know, taking that and shout out Master P, but that particular model with Master P, right, where he's going to sell out his trunk. I think like the guys like Boosie and Plies, they had street teams, and sometimes these guys will come out to where these major cities are, and they're going out talking about what's going on. They meet the promoters. They're going to shake hands. So I think that getting the word out, especially because this was all before social media, so you can't say that there was a machine, but the machine was radio at that point. So you can't say that there was a button that could be pushed and it could be everywhere. You really had to go and hit the ground and talk to the right people. So I definitely say just the effort of the team. For example, there's an artist named Iceberg out of Miami, out of South Florida, out of Miami. I went to a club when I was in college, and the dude came in. I got to go for free because I was helping out with promoting, but that's why I saw it, right?
Right.
Because I was given 200 flyers, and dude was like, "Hey, just go school and let people know that we got such and such coming." I think one time we had Machine Gun Kelly.
Okay.
That was coming. So literally, that's a part of it. The club promoter is like, "Hey, we want to bring this person." And we do that. I sat in on a meeting one time, and the owner of the club, and they were talking about Machine Gun Kelly and how much it was going to take to get him in. What number? What are they going to sell the ticket price? How do people like him out here? What's the word on him out here? So all of those things take place behind the scenes. So
yeah, that's deep, man. I think it's the being adapt to the ever changing music industry. Not only to adapt, but to be a leader and to say, okay, this is what I'm coming out with and how I'm coming over this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does come down to taking the reins in the ever moving environment.
Absolutely. So I think the main things is just kind of like, as the world is going to see, having a catalog of music, because if you're not ready for your run, like if you hadn't already put in that work and made songs, you're not gonna have that run. Like you can make fresh music, but before you pop in, when you're hungry and you're creating, you can get all of that work out. I think that's what allowed these people to come out and continue to drop project after project, because they've already done the work.
And you got the momentum behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're improving project by project, by the time you're there, you'll put out old music, new music, and you'll have the catalog and you'll have the selection that you need. Because it's easy. Some artists that won't make this list because they're one-hit wonders. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a one-hit wonder, but this episode's about run, and run, that means you have hot songs, like projects worth of hot songs, EPs, LPs, 10, 12, 15, 20 songs that you can put out on a consistent basis.
Right.
And out of those 20 songs, like for example, Thriller, 9 songs. Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson recorded 800 songs to get to those 9 songs. So that's another run. You want to talk about Michael Jackson had a run too.
800 songs.
809 songs. Prince and Tupac were 2 other artists that had like deep vaults. They wanted to go on a run forever. They could have.
And I was going back to it, the work ethic. I don't think you're not gonna go on the run if you have already been putting in that work, because to go on a run, like, that's a lot of endurance.
An impactful. You can go on the run, but
an
impactful run where you're changing the shape of the industry in front of you, like a T-Pain breaking open auto-tune.
Right.
Now everybody open to the auto-tune. You know, you got to think about stuff like that when you consider what is
right. Okay, so I got a question for you with that one. Who do you feel, what artist, no matter what genre, what artist had the most impactful run
of all time? I might have to say Pain, bro.
T-Pain.
I might have to say
Shout
Pain.
out to T-Pain.
The extensive research and work that he put in for auto-tune, like his mechanics, songwriting mechanics, like the simplicity of it, and how he impacted. That's 90% that. And he does have classic songs. Now, timeless songs, I would have to sit here and think about it. And we only got so much time on this video. I'm not gonna sit here and just really does he have a? Because if I had to think that hard, he probably doesn't have a timeless classic, but he has classic songs like that. Get Low, him and Ryder. That might run for a few decades. But yeah, that's why they T-Pain. All. Okay. What about you?
Most Michael Jackson, simply because that thing was extremely powerful. But I would say Michael Jackson because, if I'm not mistaken, he was the first to get a major video?
Oh yeah. They were like traditional R&B on MTV like that back in the day, and he opened the door with his run in the 80s and the early 90s. He opened the door for Black artists to get their music videos on MTV.
So and it's kind of, I don't think that both of our answers, they have that particular attribute in it. It's like a door down and everybody is able to come after.
Oh, yeah. Still, so anybody that you think that we missed, any runs that we missed, leave it in the comments below. We wrapping it up on this episode of Rock Radio. Stay tuned for the next video.